I hope it's green when we get it home.
Yeah. Oh my.
It is green.
It is green.
I told you it was green.
You're right.
Ooh.
Fantastic. Hey, hold this. Wait a minute, I can't put this in a bag yet. I gotta look at this. This has gotta be something. I can't. Man, that looks almost. Ah, it's gray. The visor makes it green, Jim.
It's gray. It's a different shade of gray. No, I put my visor up too.
The visor, but it's a very light gray, very fine grain. Sure looks like a basalt with some very less than millimeter sized vesicles in it, maybe 5% or so. It's a subangular rock. It's friable. Maybe it's not a basalt. It's friable. I can scrape it off with my glove and I put some streaks in it in case anybody wonders what that is.
You're 195. And it sounds green to me.
The astronauts collect samples 15424 and 15425. It was later determined that these rocks were formerly soils that became compacted during an impact. 15421 to 15424 finds, 15425 and 15426 rocks, and 15427 chips, green rocks, were collected on the crest of the north rim of Spur Crater, approximately 15 meters northeast of the large breccia block and approximately 8 meters north of the site of the anorthositic sample 15415. The rock samples are part of a small cluster of fragments that are as much as 25 centimeters across. The general albedo of the rocks in the sample cluster appears to be typical of other fragments in the area. Abundant light clasts are visible. The astronauts collected 15425 and 15426 because they appeared to have a green tint similar to other materials seen previously on the Hadley Delta Traverse at Station 6A. Sample 15415, the first pristine sample collected of the primitive lunar crust, is a very high albedo plagioclase-rich rock plucked from the lunar top of a much lower albedo, poorly consolidated breccia on the northern rim crest of Spur Crater. As previously mentioned, the dust cover on the samples also appears to be less than that of the other fragments. 15425 and 15426 are similar in size and shape to the rest of the fragments in the rock cluster, but the apparent lack of extensive burial and dust cover makes them unique in the near sample environment, and they may have been emplaced later than the remainder of the partially buried cluster fragments.
Well, with the visor on, Joe, I was about ready to call it a dunite. But I opened up my visor and I was wrong. I didn't get to call it what I wanted to. There's another one, the same stuff, Jim. Okay, why don't you get a sample? Let me take a picture and you get a sample soil, okay? Okay. Why don't you just scoop in between them? Yeah. I think this is a big frag here, but it broke. Yeah. When it hit, all these pieces are roughly the same. Yeah.
Not much soil here, really.
No, they really isn't. Get a little
Dave and Jim, is it your impression that you're sampling on the ejecta blanket of Spur Crater now?
Yes, sir. Probably from the deepest part, because we're right on the rim.
Sounds good.
The deepest rocks ejected are commonly concentrated along the rim of a crater.
Okay, 195. Wouldn't you agree with that, Jim?
Yeah.
Sir.
We're now looking at Mount Hadley. If you look closely, you might be able to see the mountain's linear features.
Okay, now let's go down and
Get that unusual one?
get that unusual one. And there's another unusual. Look at the little crater here. And the one that's facing us, there's a little white corner to the thing.
Okay, Dave, get as many of those as you can, and you might be watching for a place where you think the rake might help you.